Hello, all you groovers and shakers. Welcome to the live stream. I am Donna Fox. I'm the CMO of Groove, and I am here today to talk to you all about the updates to Groove Mail as we are on the precipice, literally the eve before Groove Mail starts to get released. It's time for an update. So I am going to jump right into the content to answering your questions. In the background, I have the awesome Simon Leung with me, who is going to help me moderate the chat and answer questions and be there if I get tired of talking to myself, which obviously I know that I'm not. I'm talking to all the cool people who are watching me on the other side of the screen, all the amazing Groovesters like Angie Norris. Hi, Angie. I love you too. I'm so glad to see you here to support me. I was talking about preparing for this session with Travis Stevenson from ChatMatic. There's a question about ChatMatic, and I wanted to reach out to him to get the answer so that I had the right information for you. And I said that to him and then also to one of our email consultants this morning that I feel a lot like the White House press secretary getting ready for a press conference. I'm trying to find out the answers to questions that I barely understand myself in some cases, and really just looking to provide you with as much information as I possibly can, which is difficult because very often decisions haven't yet been made. So I want to remind you guys that when it comes to answers, sometimes this is difficult. And I generally only go live when I have something to say. And I know that for the last 30 days, there have been a lot of questions about GrooveMail, but I hadn't had the answers yet. So today, I come here with some answers. We're going to talk about what's going on with GrooveMail. I have answers to your questions. If other questions come in during this conversation that I don't have answers to, I will find out. That's my goal here for you guys today. I did prepare some slides, so I'm going to show those. Let's see, let me go to add to stream. There we go. So we've got some GrooveMail updates. I'm going to put it here. I've got some GrooveMail updates for you today. But before I go to that, I want to just address, Amanda just said, I love your Groovezilla pink shirt. This is actually the original Groovezilla. This is the first kind of joke design t-shirt that John from our support desk, John Garcia from our support desk made this for me. And this is the beginning that created the entire Groovezilla movement, was this one t-shirt that was a kind of a joke. So super, super happy. And yeah, this is the OG Groovezilla. All right, everyone, let's jump back into the content and answer your questions about GrooveMail. So here we go. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. All right, so here's the GrooveMail update. I know, drum roll, right? All right, the first question that we have for our GrooveMail update. Oh, sorry, before I wanted to get that, I wanted to tell you guys about me. Some of you don't know me at all. You're brand new. I haven't spoken to the group in a while. I'm Donna Fox. The only thing that you need to know about me is that I am the CMO of Groove Digital and that I take that job very, very seriously. One of the things that the chief marketing officer has to do is control all of the communication of the company. So any major official announcements, any copy that goes on our pages, any emails that go out, all of that is my responsibility to oversee and to manage. So it's a big job. And we have a lot of team members, and in a company like ours, where we empower our team members to go make content and talk to our community anytime they want to, it can be a little bit crazy to wrangle all the people and get us all on the same page, which is why it's really, really helpful, especially at times like this, to come to a live stream and answer some questions, just to make sure everyone is on the same page, not just for you guys, but in our our company as well. When you're with a company that moves as quickly and in as many different directions as Groove Digital does, because we have a very large team, it's hard to keep updated. So I find that these sessions to center us all again are really, really important. And those of you that know me, so for those of you that are new, you're just going to have to trust the other Groovesters. Those of you that know me will say, and I'm sure that they will give me the support in the chat, that I am a straight shooter. I don't like to add fluff. I tell it like it is, probably a little too straight sometimes. I'm a little too straight of a shooter. I can't tell you how many times I've ended a meeting and then went, oh, I need to go apologize to one of my team members because I think I might have sounded a little harsh when I was just being very direct and very straight. So absolute straight shooter. The part of that is one of my highest goals and values is integrity. And I really grapple with providing the best, most honest answer that I can, often when answers haven't been, like the details haven't been decided yet, or they're still up in the air, or we're still thinking about them. So if you hear anything from me that's a little bit vague, it's because I truly don't know. It's not because I'm being duplicitous in any way. I do not lie. I find it so much easier to live life openly and honestly than to try to be deceitful or lie or hide things. If there is something to talk about, I will definitely give you the answer. If I don't know, I will definitely tell you that I don't know. So I know telling people to trust you when they don't know you is kind of a weird thing, but just trust me. You'll find that in 30 days or so of knowing me, you will know that I'm a fairly straight shooter. I am absolutely not going to give you a snow job here. So I'm taking every single question that was answered or asked. I'm going to answer it to the best of my ability and let you know when I don't know, or maybe I don't even understand your question because I obviously don't know everything. So if that's okay and we can move forward, I do want to give you one little illustration. We are about to do a joint venture with another software company, and we white labeled the software. So we've taken the name of the software. So let's say the software's name is Glass. So we've taken the name of software and we've added Groove in front of it. So now it's Groove Glass. Groove Glass is not a thing. It's just, don't go register that domain. So we've taken this other software, we've white labeled it, we've called it Groove Glass. And as we're making the pages for it and basically copying the copy and the information on the other pages, I see there are these used by our trusted partners section. And it has some pretty big names on that used by our trusted partners. And even though the software is exactly the same, I really grappled with whether or not I could include those trusted partners on our Groove page version, because it wasn't the Groove version of the software that they were supporting, even though the software is exactly the same. So that's my level of integrity. I am often sort of get eyes rolled at me when it comes to my willingness to say things like that on marketing pages, because it's very important for me to be honest and open. So with that, let's go into the answers. So question number 1, is GrooveMail out? Does anyone have access? Everyone's heard it's going to be out on the 1st, and everyone's expecting to get a stream and a flood of, I have GrooveMail, I have GrooveMail, I have GrooveMail. That is not how it's going to work this time. So the question is, GrooveMail out? Does anyone have access? The answer is yes. One person has access to GrooveMail. One person right now, and it's not even me. So the one person that has access to GrooveMail right now is Leanne, our copywriter, and we turned it on in her account so that she could do some testing for us. So we talked this morning, someone asked a question about, will GIFs work in an email? I don't know that yet. I know it's on the list. So that was one of those things that I said to Leanne, we need to test whether or not we can put GIFs in emails. So she's doing some testing for us, and she got access today. So yes, GrooveMail is out. Yes, someone has access. It is one person. It's just Leanne. But the real question is, when will GrooveMail be released? And this is a harder question to answer because GrooveMail will be released slowly. Actually, let me go to the next slide because, okay, yeah. GrooveMail will be released very, very slowly. So I want to tell you about the release process, what we are doing, and then we'll roll into how you can help with the GrooveMail release. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and give me a moment. I want to open up another document. I wasn't planning on showing it to you, but I think it's going to be good if I do. I'm going to open up another document, and it is right here. Nope. Hang on. Sorry, guys. It's definitely worth it. There it is. All right. So I'm going to change my screen share and change it to this new document. All right. So some of you may have heard the first time or remember the first time that we warmed up IP addresses. We have to do that again. We need to warm up the IP addresses for GrooveMail. So let me zoom in on this document, and then we'll be able to see it a little bit more. So this is what warming up IPs means. So an IP address is like your address, your online address, and every email server has its own IP address that it is sending emails from. And there is a planned warm-up schedule. That warm-up schedule is based on the number of IPs that we're warming up. So we're warming up 24 IP addresses. And on day 0, we can mail 20 emails. That's 20 messages per IP address, which means we can send out 480 emails on the very first day. If we send out 480 emails, we blow the warm-up, like more than 480, we blow the warm-up process. Like we fail before we start, which is why it's the primary reason why we can't let anyone else in during this very protected period of time when we're warming up the IP addresses. Because 481 goes out, we're in trouble. We really have to keep a tight rein on the number of emails that goes out. So we'll be adding 480 names to we have a 40-day tip sheet that basically we are working on to send over to you guys, where every day there's a new tip. It's a new email. There'll be a video tip in it. Frankly, some of them, especially for the beginning ones, and for those of you who have been with GrooveMail for a long time, the videos are not groundbreaking for you. But towards the end, we're trying to make it a logical sequence. So towards the end, we're getting into some really kind of cool and interesting features that you may not know of this tips process. So what we are doing is sending an email every single day to eventually everyone on the Groove list. So you can see here, day 0, 400 names are getting added, 480 names. Down here on day 14, so 2 weeks into the process, we can only add 15,000 names that day. So we would have sent 50,000 emails on that day. We'll add 15,000 new names to reach this goal of an email going out every single day. Right about here, you'll notice that these start increasing fairly rapidly. They almost double, but not quite. But right about here at this mark, around 19 days into it, now we're at the point where we can start adding in a little bit of chaos into the process. So we will start inviting on that day some hand-picked onboarding. So about 2 weeks into this process, which I believe is going to start on Friday, we will start adding some and literally hand-picked onboarding. That means turning on the account for a couple of our team members, not even all of them, for a couple of our VIPs, not all of them. And in this case, VIP means friend. It means friends of ours who we know will do only the right things and help us in this process. So we will start at that point, and they will help us by sending some email as we get to this point, but slowly. And this week here is a monitoring week. It's where we give access to some of our VIPs and monitor. With luck, that during that week, and this is why I can't give you exact dates, because it's all based on how things went the day before. We keep a slow and steady pace. We keep a slow, steady addition of some new people in different domains. Then we'll be able to start adding in paid users very, very slowly. I can't say this enough. Very, very slowly at first. So right about here, I think we're 25 days in, we can start with paid user onboarding. And here's how paid user onboarding will work. Paid users will come on in the order in which we are going to prioritize people who are making money in Groove, actually using it. So if you've paid for Groove, but you don't do anything in it, and you've just been kind of waiting around, you're going to wait a little bit longer, because we're going to release Groove Mail to the people that are active using Groove, making money, seeing some activity, creating sites that we see visitors on. Like, we're actually targeting real users, people who are working in Groove every day and supporting their business. We want to support you first by rolling out Groove Mail. We might do that 5 the first day, maybe 10 the next day, but I'm not even making any promises along those lines, because so much of what we do during this process is going to be a matter of trying to stick to this plan based on the chaos variable, which is what other people are doing as we bring them on board. So what the other VIPs are doing and how much they're contributing to this warm-up process. So paid users will start being onboarded. So for example, if we upload, or if we give access to a paid user like Angie Norris, who is on the short list of people to get it soon, if we give access to her and then she starts sending out 250,000 emails a day, first of all, I want to know where she gets her traffic from, because I want to know how she gets 250,000 email on her list in one day. But the other thing is that will greatly impact how we can adjust and grow and onboard people. So if she does the work of, say, 10 other accounts, then we would consider her to be, like adding the volume of maybe 10 other active people. We expect that after about 38 days, I don't know what that means, 37, about 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Math is not my strong suit. We will start free user onboarding. It may begin at that point. And there is much discussion right now about how much access our free users will have. None of that is decided or set in stone at this point. So I can't answer any questions about, will free have this, will paid have this? Obviously, the free users that have an account to date, based on our published packages, will get what we have announced in our published packages. But we are, and at some point, rolling back what comes with the free version. So free users, it might be a while before you get access to Groove Mail, and may not at all have access to Groove Mail. So that is what we are working on, making up, figuring out those decisions. And I don't have any information on that, and probably won't, on how Groove Mail is impacting our free users and how they'll be able to use it for at least 30 days and probably 40, 45 days or so. So that's the warm-up schedule. That's the IP warm-up process. And with that, I will navigate through way too many windows. Let me close that one to find my StreamYard. There we go. And then switch back the share to my presentation. Oops. Add to stream. There we go. All right. So that is when GrooveMail will be released. It starts on Friday. It starts with us. Oh, that's interesting. Let me hold on. I'm moving windows around here and it's creating confusion. It starts on Friday. It starts with us, and it takes that long onboarding process to go through. So the next question is, how can I support that process? How can I support the onboarding? So the purpose of the onboarding is to have very strong IP addresses for us to mail from. And in order to do that, we need to send good quality email. So we start sending email to people that we know will do what we tell them to do when it comes to opening this email. So we do what we come to do. We will start sending them to our team members. So the first 480 emails that go out, 50 or so of those email addresses are controlled by our team members, because we know that in order to create strong IPs, we will need to open that email. We'll need to maybe save that email, move it into a different folder, click on the link in it, hit reply, and talk to the lovely, sweet Gladys, who answers every single email that comes in as a reply to one of our marketing messages. Please be nice to her. Gladys is just a treasure. She's an absolute treasure. And she is the person who is responsible for responding to you and directing you to the right place. She sends you to support if it's a support issue. She answers a quick question about a link or a broken link or a clarification. She is a saint. She's completely dedicated to her job. But that is an important part of the IP warming process, is for the open rates to be up. So it builds the trust and authority for those IP addresses, as well as for things like our email and any domains and links we put in there. The real thing that you can do to support the process is open every one of these emails. So that's the first thing that you can do. Open rates are hugely important for warming up the IP. The second thing that you can do to support the process is to click on the link, because while open rates are great, link clicks are even better. It tells them that you're actually interested in the content of the email that you got, whether you are or not. I honestly, I do not care if you click the link and then it will take you to a blog post that will have a video on it with a tip on it. I, of course, would love for you to watch the tip, but that doesn't support the process. So I'm just going to be real with you. You don't even have to watch the video. You should, because our team's working really hard on them and they're awesome, but you don't have to support the IP warming process. What you do need to do is open the email, click the link, and then if you would, save the email into a folder in your inbox. That is going to provide the strongest and most support when it comes to letting the email service providers, that's the people you get your personal email from, you read your email from, lets those email service providers know that we are serious and people want to know the information that we're sending. When you hit a reply, it shows engagement, and that lets them know that these IP addresses are being responded to by real email. So it's all going to support that process of showing us to be really strong, valuable senders. And the amazing thing is, because we are Groove, we have enough people to make a very strong message to the email services, a very, very strong message. So we can do this for all of Groove just by the people who are listening to this message, following these rules. We'll warm up all of these IP addresses for everyone who wants to use Groove. What will happen by the end, if I showed you that IP warming schedule again, at day 38, we can send 62 million emails an hour. An hour. The warming process is by day, but what happens by the end of it is we'll be able to send 62 million emails an hour. That's why you want to support this process by doing all of those things. Now, if you didn't take notes about that, the very first email that we will be sending to you tells you exactly what you need to do to support the process, not only for us, but for every other GrooveMail user. So hopefully that makes sense. I am not able to really talk and read the chat that's happening. So at some point I will scroll back and take a look at some things. But I just want to make sure that you understand why it's slow, understand why slow benefits you, and what it means during the rollout. So the next question, Leanne, absolutely. Leanne says, Leanne is our copywriter. She said, we need engagement to make this work as fast as possible. And that's absolutely correct. The engagement definitely helps. Oh, I love that. Groove Pages training. Yes, open the email, click the link, save it in a folder, reply and say something beautiful to the sweet and amazing Gladys. Even just reply and say, hi, Gladys. It will make her day. All right, so next question. How are the rollout groups determined? All right, I touched a little bit on this, but I'm going to go in depth in it now. And for those of you who want to share this video, I'm going to have the person on our team that does timestamps get the video timestamped with the questions overnight so that by tomorrow on our YouTube channel, this video will be out with timestamps. So it'll be very easy to refer back to the questions. So this one, how are rollout groups determined? All right, so first it is friends. It's team members and friends and people who we know, love, and trust very, very closely. So that's going to be the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, you won't hear much about people who have access to Groove because they are literally like Mike's friends, and some of our JV partners are getting access, people who are very, very close to us. And then we will start onboarding select VIPs, and they are determined based on how much activity they are doing in Groove. We want to make sure the active people get access as soon as possible. So we will pick the very active people. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if this is still accurate information, but at one point, Angie Norris, who we saw at the beginning, was the #1 person making money with Groove outside of Groove itself. She was generating more income than anyone else as a user. I don't know who that person is right now, but at one point it was Angie Norris. So people like her will get access sooner. People who are actively using Groove, who I know will actively begin to start sending email as well. And then let's say we get all of the active people, then we will go out and take people based on the order in which they upgraded. So the oldest people, not oldest in age, but the people who upgraded first will get access first. We always, always, always reward loyalty. That is a customer, that's a value within our company, is to reward loyalty. And one of the ways that we can do that is to roll out to people who very, very early on said, I believe in you. This is one of the small benefits that you get from believing in us early on and taking action and just being awesome is you get access first. So that's how we're determining rollout groups. It leads me to the very next question, which is, can I do anything to get access faster? There are 2 things you can do to get access faster. If you are a free account user, you can upgrade to Lifetime Platinum. That is one way you can get access faster. If you already have a Lifetime Platinum account and you aren't using it, you can start using it. That will give you access faster. When we start talking about if for those upgraded users, we're talking about maybe 2 weeks faster. If you start using your account where you hadn't been, it would push you up maybe 2 weeks, maybe a week or so ahead of the other users. So that is not as important at this point as moving from a free user to an upgraded user, especially since we have made no decisions yet on when and how quickly we will onboard free users. So just keep that in mind. That's the only thing you can do to get access faster. I'd like to say you could bribe me with chocolate and wine and puppies and all of those things that you know I love, but I am beyond bribery in this case. So the next question, how will I know when I get access? And I think this is a great question. One way is you will definitely get an email that tells you that you have access with some instructions. There might be some other ways. And here is where I ask you, how do you want me to tell you? How do you want me to tell you? Short of picking up the phone and calling you, because I'm not going to do that for 450,000 users or even have anyone else do it. What would you like me to do? I am always interested in suggestions and ways that we can improve communication within our company. And one of the ways that we can improve communication is to just maybe provide a list of people who have access, like a public list. Maybe I put it on a Google spreadsheet with everyone's name, and then you can look and see if your name's on the list. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions here, but at the very least, you will know because you will get an email that says it's been turned on and gives you some information about what you'll need to do. So yeah, because email is, it's one of those things. People don't notice an email. I send an email, but they might not see it in their inbox. I am very much open for suggestions. I mean, hopefully anyone within earshot of this is paying a lot of attention to their email inbox during this time, because every day you're going to open that email to help us warm up the IP. So here's hoping that you see that email because you're engaged in this process and interested in helping us warm up the IP addresses, which then would give you the information about the access. At some point, we will have notifications inside the app as well. I know they've been working hard on it. I don't know when it's going to be released, but at some point when you log into the app, there'll be a notification bell in the upper right-hand corner, and I'll be able to communicate with you there as well, so that you can maybe not necessarily rely on seeing an email. You'll see it when it's a notification in the account. I don't know if that's happening over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or during this process at all, though. So definitely give me some feedback on how you want to get this information, how you want to hear that you've had access the best way, and short of, showing up like that in your own inbox, in your own mailbox. I'm willing to do whatever it is that that the group wants when it comes to making this communication happen. Next question. I saw this. What do these lead statuses mean? You may have seen some of these already in GrooveMail. If you were using it before, then there are a couple of different statuses to what a lead is. So one is safe. That means the lead can receive email. One is blocked, and the email is blocked. So a blocked email happens in a number of ways. It could be because that particular email is on a list of blocked emails. We maintain a very good list of known spam traps, bad email addresses, undelivered email addresses, and we monitor all emails based on that list. So it might have happened because it is on a known spam list, a known undeliverable email. It might be blocked because email was sent to that and it got what is known as a hard bounce, which means the domain says that email address does not exist, or actually that's probably the only one. Email address does not exist. If they have indicated that, like, someone that clicks spam a lot, so they get a lot of different emails, they click spam a lot, we will have a global protection list that says this person reports spam. They're a spam reporter. And we don't want to send emails to people who report spam on email lists that they have subscribed to. So those are some things that can get you on a blocked email list. A blocked domain list is a domain that does not accept email. So that happens internally within the system. We try to send it and it says the domain does not exist and it blocks it. Most of those are going to be typos where people have mistyped their domain name or they've put in a fake email. You'll see a blocked domain because the domain itself does not exist. Both of those statuses happen based on best email practices. So it's pretty much worldwide within all email service providers. They block email addresses and they block domains based on safe lists and the actual activity that happens on those emails and domains. So you'll see that on your list. You'll also see as you get into GrooveMail that there are automations and actions that can happen based on certain categories. So whether a user is subscribed or unsubscribed. So that is whether or not they are on a particular list or sequence that you have in your account. Then you'll see also verified versus unconfirmed. So if you are using double opt-in, so I'll take a step back even further. When you send an email, you can choose to send it single or double opt-in. Single opt-in means, let me rephrase that entirely and take a sip of coffee. Not when you send an email. When you set up a list, when you set up an autorespond, an opt-in form, you can choose whether or not to make that opt-in single or double opt-in. A single means all they have to do is fill out the form and then they start getting messages. You will get more subscribers if you stick with single opt-in. Double opt-in means that you send them the first message, which is, so after they fill out the form, they get one email message that says, you must verify your email address to be added to the list to get the information that you're looking for. And then they have to click that link. When they click that link, they become a verified sender. So what's the consequence of one or the other? Single opt-in, you get a bigger list and you can get a lot of junk entries to your list because there's nothing to stop people from putting in a fake email address. Double opt-in, you get a smaller list, but that list is better because they have already engaged and you know that they're real email addresses. So you'll still get everyone that fills out the form in the first place. You'll just see that some of them then become unconfirmed and some become verified. And it's based on whether or not they click that link in the very first email that you send. If they are unconfirmed, you can't send them another email. You can only send another email out to the people who have verified. So that's why with a double opt-in, you get a much, much smaller list, but it's cleaner because you can't verify an email address from a junk email. And then finally, blocklisted. Blocklisted is a search term that will allow you to clean out your leads periodically as you want. You'll be able to search for leads whose status is blocklisted, which is really just a search for blocked emails and blocked domains, and be able to see who has been blocked from your sending list. I highly recommend that you delete and remove leads that have been blocked. They won't ever be good again. So remove them, delete them, get them off of your subscriber count, and keep your list clean as a result. All right, so now I'm jumping in. These are screenshots of actual questions. In fact, maybe before I do that, I'm just going to take a minute, ask Simon if he wants to hop on, and just say hi and give me a moment to stop talking for a second and catch up on some of those chats. Are you willing to do that, my friend?
Hello.
Yay. Hello.
Hello, great to see you. Thank you, Donna, for that wonderful updates. I mean, all of these things I learned for the very first time listening to you as well. So I am very much on the same boat as many of our fellow Groosters who are watching us live. And so I'm hanging on to every single one of your word, in the background, just making sure that everything is cool, everything is that you're, not messing up in the technological way and, the Wi-Fi going down and things like that. But at the same time, I'm just kind of listening to you and learning all these things about, email marketing and learning. And I mean, I've been learning from you for 15, 16 years now, Donna. So
Oh my gosh,
I
yes.
think it's nothing new that I continue to learn every single day. And who better to learn from than, the Wonder Woman of the web and all those. I mean, I still remember all those events that, we met at, and all the events that I was there at the audience, just listening to you, until the days where we actually got to share the stage together. And I remember that being very a sense of achievement. And so I think with everything that we're going through with Groove right now, it is the exact same thing. We're taking baby steps, and sometimes we move a little bit too fast. Sometimes as we move too fast, we need to take that step back, right? Because we realize that we are moving in directions that we're not ready for, or maybe that we ourselves may be ready, but because now we're also leading a team, we're also working with fellow community members, there's a lot of education that needs to make sure that all of us are on the same page. We all share the same vision, the same value. And at which point you will realize that, yes, there will be discrepancies in terms of opinion. There will be discrepancies in terms of expectations and what people want. And we just need to realize that in business, in life, with friends, with colleagues, with community members, we cannot all share the exact same thoughts. We cannot share the same opinions, and we're going to be in different places in our lives. We're going to be different places in our businesses. And so we just need to realize that at some point in time, we do need to come together and reshare that vision, get back onto the same page, so that all of us can proceed to move forward in the best possible way. And I believe that this is the right first step into doing it. We moved a little bit too fast in terms of proceeding into GrooveMail. And as a company, as a community, as a team, we decided that we have to scale back. And that was the right thing to do, because in the meantime, it gave also the developers, our team like David Lemon, the opportunity to improve the system a whole lot better while everything is being worked on a technological level. However, for the brand new UI, for example, in terms of our preparations, in terms of what we can do to move forward, I don't think any of these could have been done without putting what we did on hold the way that we did, and really planning it out now, learning from our past mistakes and proceeding it with the right way. And I know that we're working on multiple projects at the same time. And so at the same time that we're, providing the content for the email warm-up, we're also able to provide the value to our fellow Groovesters, re-record a lot of our past content, which we can now refresh with the newer updates, and just kill multiple birds with one stone, so to speak, and still help us in a marketing standpoint as well. So I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm very, very excited to listen to your updates, Donna. And I think all of our fellow Groovesters are sharing in the exact same thing, because I'm seeing all of these really amazing, positive comments. People are excited. They want to be a part of the process. They want to be a part of everything that we're doing. They want to be a part of everything. And it's all because of your inspiration, the way that you so strategically presented it in a way that is able to allow fellow Groovesters, fellow community members, that we are doing this for them. We're doing this for the better of everybody. It's not like a Groove digital thing, right? It's not like we're doing anything that isn't with the best interest of fellow Groovesters in mind. Everything that we do is so that we can all coexist peacefully as a community. But of course, at the very end of the day, we want to make sure that everybody, as you mentioned, who know us, love us, and trust us, put their trust in us. And especially all the people who did so over a year ago now, right? All these people from, I don't know, I got back in touch with you like in February or March of last year, and when everything was still completely brand new. And wow, in the last year, so much progress, so much improvements along the way. And I just can't be more proud to be on part of this team, to do everything alongside with your leadership, with your mentorship, Donna. And I think that right now is a very good testament, in the all schemes of things. Right here, this moment, what we are going through in Groove, right? As we prepare for the next brand new chapter, this is the best place, the best time for all of us. Maybe we don't realize it. Maybe many of our community members, they're just very eager to want to, be the first to see those emails, be the first to participate, support, and maybe get access to GrooveMail once again. But you have no idea what type of role, what type of leadership role and potential mentorship role that you will be playing in the whole bigger scheme of things when it comes to the future of the company, the future of the community, the future of the quality of the platform. Now is the time for us to collectively work together and make sure that Groove becomes the best that it ever will be. And so, once again, thank you very much, Donna, for having me here, introducing me up. I know that I wasn't planned, and I thought for myself, I wasn't planning on saying anything. I wasn't planning on coming up here, but
guys, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning for Simon.
It is. It's almost 1 a.m, and so I'm like running 100% on adrenaline right now. Have no idea what I'm saying, but hopefully, one or two things that I am saying strikes a note, and we can all, as a community, move forward with a much more positive outlook, because everything is geared towards that ultimate goal. And so, yes, very excited. And I don't know if you have much left for the presentation, but I myself am very much looking forward to listening into the rest of it as well.
Yep. I have all of the questions that were posted before I went live today. In fact, the last question was 20 minutes before I went live. We added it to the presentation, so I can jump in and go over those. Thank you, Simon. I needed that just tiny little break, so I appreciate it, especially since it's kind of the middle of the night for you. And don't worry, you always make sense. You could mumble in your sleep and you would provide excellent content for someone who happened to listen. So
thank you.
Thanks, Si.
Yep, happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back in to questions now. This is where I get a little nervous, like, a little worried. I'm taking your live questions, things that you have asked specifically, and I'm going to give you the best answer I can for them. So Rajiv asks, now after relaunching GrooveMail, can we say confidently that mail will be delivered mostly to inbox instead of spam? So this answer is yes at first. Yes, because very confidently, I know that we will do the IP warm-up process to perfection, which means it will be executed absolutely perfectly from our side, because I'm going to make sure that that happens. And as long as everyone who gets the email start playing, and we don't even need to have a lot, just to be clear. It's more important that we are sending emails to valuable inboxes than we get engagement. But that engagement is important, which is why we are going out to our best people first. As we get 2, 3, 4 weeks into the process, it matters less how many people are opening that email and more that we can just keep sending to valid email addresses. But what is important is that our overall ratio of sending stays high. People keep opening. So as we add in access to more people, the way you can keep email deliverability high is by good list management. We really are all in this together. We're warming up 24 IP addresses, which is a lot. It may not sound like a lot, but it is a lot. We're warming up 24. We were going to start with 6. So just to put that in perspective, we decided to increase the amount and warm up more faster from the start. So we're warming up 24 IP addresses. Those IP addresses are going into a couple of different pools. We're taking 12 of them for paid users, and 12 of them for free users. So paid users and free users will not be in the same IP pool, and that will definitely protect the paid users from some of the spam issues that might happen because of free users that might come on board. So that's the first thing that we're doing when it comes to our free users. We're putting you in, to our paid users, well, same thing. We're putting you guys in entirely separate IP pools. And then within those IP pools, so let's say we'll talk about the 12 for our paid users, the people with the best deliverability will stay on the servers and the IP addresses with the best deliverability. This is how email service providers do it. Even if they don't tell you they do it that way, they move better people into better servers and lesser people in terms of getting deliverability and engagement into servers that don't necessarily deliver or inbox as well. So the answer to whether or not you will be delivered mostly to inbox is really entirely up to you. It is 100% about you not sending spammy messages, you not doing things like buying lists that brings a lot of spam emails into your list and lowers your opt-in rates, or lowers your open rates. You taking best email practices. Now, because so much of it relies on you, and by you, I mean every single one of our users that sends an email, because so much of that is related to all of us. We really are all in this together. I am hoping to provide ample, voluminous training on keeping on good email practices. So we'll talk about list hygiene. We'll talk about how to clean your list. We'll talk about re-engagement series. We'll talk about when to send an email, and maybe even some less popular practices like how to keep emailing people long after they've removed from your list. We'll talk about it all, the good, the bad, the ugly about email. Once we get this release out, I will start creating more content with regards to informing our users on how to be the best steward of the email relationship that affects us all. So we very much are all in this together. And I am hoping to get some training to you very, very quickly that will help you with those things. The next question is, how should I properly create tags and rules and sequences based on what product has been bought? Also, how to unsubscribe if another product has been bought and subscribe to another list. So this is such a great question. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about email automations. So I'm opening up my account right now. Let me just do that before it's on screen so that I don't accidentally show anyone's email address. And we're going to go to the automations screen. All right, so I'll change my screen share so you can see that. All right, so this is the GrooveMail automation screen. Let me open it. So it's under GrooveMail automations. And this is where you can create your control to do any of those things that you specifically asked and more. So we're going to start by creating a new automation. So here's the automation name, GrooveMail stream test. All right. And then all automations start based on an action that's taken by your user. So automations don't exist in a vacuum. They are a response to something that happens, whether it's by an action taken by your user or an action that you take on behalf of your user. That's what triggers an automation. So if you create a new automation, like I'm about to, that says select trigger if lead is assigned a tag. So that will create an automation when that lead gets a new tag. So if the tag already existed on that lead, so let's say John already has that tag, and then you create the automation after. That automation will not apply to John because the action where he was assigned the tag already happened in the past. So that's the first important thing to know about automation. Automation happens based on actions that are taken, not actions in the past. If you wanted to assign a tag, an automation that's based on a tag that already exists, there are other ways to do that. They will become obvious as you move through the system and get more comfortable with automation. So don't worry about that so much. You can always do it by the application of another tag. You can say, find the list of people with that tag and then apply another tag to get this automation. Tagging is really the thing that unlocks all sorts of stuff for you. And you don't have to use a tag for an automation. But if you can't get your head around how to create something in automations, a tag is a beautiful middleman because you can do anything when a tag is applied. So that's your shortcut to automations. Think about tags. But there are also some other options. So the triggers are basically any of the actions that can happen inside of Groove. So they either subscribe or unsubscribe to a list. They fill out a form. They subscribe to a sequence. So that might be, let's say you have an automation where if a lead is assigned a tag, then they get subscribed to a sequence. So now the lead will be assigned to a tag and you can add them to a sequence, but maybe when they get added to that sequence, there's another automation that takes place. So you might have when lead subscribes to a sequence, and then you select the sequence. I'm going to select test and then add it. So when the lead subscribes to the sequence test, we want to unsubscribe from the sequence test 2. Okay, so if the lead subscribes to the sequence buyers, let's just call it buyers, then you can unsubscribe from the sequence prospects. And that's how you do it. And that automation happens whenever someone gets onto that sequence, in this case test, but in the sequence buyers. And maybe people are added to that sequence buyers in the product setup because that's where it made logical sense to you. So in that setup for the product, under the automations, you chose to add them to the sequence for buyers. And then this automation sits separately in the automations area that lets you know that when they're added to the buyers list, they get removed from the prospect sequence. I hope that makes sense. There's so much that you can do with this. And this is the area that I get so freaking excited about when it comes to this company, what you can do with automations. So you'll probably be hearing a lot from me about different automations. Lido specifically asked, how should I properly create tags and create rules? So we went through the rules, went through the automations. Let me talk a little bit about tags. Tags can get out of hand very, very quickly. So I want to see, I know that we have an option for expiring tags or disappearing tags coming soon. I don't know when, but that is definitely something that you might want to use. So for instance, I'll give you an example of how I would use that. A disappearing tag might be used when you have a member that's in a particular promotion and you want to protect them from getting any other email that you send. So I use a no broadcast tag a lot, where someone will come into, they've gone down a particular path and they're getting training based on a product that they purchased. I don't want to send them more marketing messages during that time. I want them focused on the product that they purchased instead of the next bright, shiny object. So I'll use a no broadcast tag for that, where that tag might last just 30 days. And after 30 days, that tag is removed because it's a disappearing tag that puts them in this protected class where we don't send any broadcast email messages. I highly recommend once that feature comes out that you use disappearing tags. Otherwise, you will have an account, and any of our experienced Infusionsoft users will tell you this, that has thousands and thousands of tags. Tags rarely have importance to you after a few months. They rarely do. You might want to keep things around like buyer's tags that say they bought a particular product, or refunder tags so that you can see that they're refunding a product, those kinds of things. But there will be tags that you use just as levers. And those tags, you want to keep them out of your account. So those levers, I need to add a tag to create this automation for the sub list of people. But after I do that, we won't need them anymore. We won't use them anymore. Those are the kind of tags that you want to keep out of your accounts so that your account stays clean. So feel free to freely delete tags and keep your account clean. You will definitely benefit from that. Let's see. So we did how to unsubscribe if another product has been bought and subscribe to another list. So I specifically answered Lido's questions, but I do want to go back to automations and see if there is something else that I can show you. So under the automation name, let's say if someone purchased a product. So I use this all the time when it comes to automations where someone is buying, let's say we buy a trial first. If you buy any trial from us, any kind of trial at all, the next page that you get is probably going to try to upsell you to an annual or lifetime version of that trial. That is standard. So what happens when someone buys a trial product that has a subscription on it, $1 for the first 14 days, $49 a day after, and then on the very next page, they find out that that offer that you gave for an annual subscription is such a good deal, they want to take that. So now they bought the annual subscription too. What do? Well, you create an automation. If lead purchased a product and then you select the product, so I'm going to select a real product here. I'm going to go into the GrooveFunnels funnel and I'm going to pick Steal Our Winners Groove Edition. And I'm going to pick the price point, $1 trial, and add that. So, oops, actually I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Let me go back and do that. Select the trigger. When they purchase a product, GrooveFunnels, Steal Our Winners, annual subscription. So this is the upsell. When they purchase the annual subscription, then cancel a subscription to GrooveFunnels, Steal Our Winners, $1 trial. So this is when they subscribe to the upsell, then cancel the subscription for the trial so they won't be billed again every month. That's an automation. Everything that you can do within the system, you can do through automations. These are really the key that unlocks the power between the different pieces of software. I'm working on making sure every condition, every possible thing is in here under this list and also in under the actions that can be taken. If at any time you can't figure out how to do an automation, oh my gosh, post in the members area, tag me. Those are the questions I love to answer. So I'm very, very happy to help you figure out how to automate your business. So those are GrooveMail automations rolling out with GrooveMail. Many of them are probably already, you already have access to these in your account. Now, I don't actually have GrooveMail turned on in this account, but if you had played with GrooveMail, you should be able to see the automations and you can start playing and seeing what you can do with the automations tab. All right, take a breath, switch my screen share again and go back to my PowerPoint. And I can go on to the next question from there. Are you guys liking this? I know I'm getting a little long-winded. I want to be as thorough as possible when it comes to this information. All right. Oh, wait. Tom's first question. Will it work as promised? What are you trying for here, Tom? Will it work as promised? Nope, we don't intend it to work at all, but we're releasing it anyway. Obviously, I'm not going to say that. We hope it will work as promised. We are testing, but the reason why we are in beta is because sometimes it doesn't work as promised, and sometimes there are bugs, and I can make you absolutely zero promises to that regard. We do our best, absolutely our best effort, and we certainly would never release something where the answer to that question, Tom, is no. Will it work as promised? Nope, 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 nope. That's just not going to happen. So we already talked about priority release terms, so I'll ignore that. The actual reason why I chose your question, Tom, not only to ridicule you about the will it work as promised part, but the ChatMatic integration question. I am not an expert in ChatMatic. I'm the first person to say that is the case. I had to reach out to Travis Stevenson, the owner of ChatMatic, last night, and I talked about when if there would be a ChatMatic integration with GrooveMail, and his response was, it is the ChatMatic team that needs to work on that. They are currently working on an integration with Shopify that's been in the works for a while for them. So they're working on that integration. Then they are using that to springboard into a GrooveCart integration, which will open up to a GrooveMail integration. So it is happening. It is not being worked on as we speak. It's on the ChatMatic side of things. And he said that it will be done by the end of 2021. So ChatMatic integration will happen by the end of 2021, probably a lot sooner, but I don't like making promises that we can't keep. So the promise is by end of 2021. The goal is by maybe September. So that's the answer for that. Next question. Robert Murray asks, are we best to set up a new delivery email address if we have been using the other not to be named Funnel Builder's internal email and 90% of emails sent have recently been hitting the spam folders? Yes, it is a good idea because that email delivery address is as important to your email delivery as the whole IP warm-up process that we discussed. So this leads me to talk about some best practices when it comes to email delivery address. Best practice is choose an email that is on your domain that is not a role-based email. So don't make it support@yourdomain.com or help@yourdomain.com or marketing@yourdomain.com. Those are terrible sending email addresses. It should look like a real name. We use Groovesters. And that is it's kind of a generic role-based email that doesn't look like a role. It doesn't raise any flags for the deliverability on the deliverability side because it doesn't look like it's coming from a marketing message. It looks like it's coming from a real email address because it is a real email address. Gladys is in there responding to emails. There is a two-way communication that happens with that email address, and that helps keep your email address valid. So while deliverability is very much based on things like our IP address and the Groove side of things, the part that you can manage is related to your own domain and your own email address. I have some resources that I will post here that you can search for whether your domain is blacklisted and whether your email address is blacklisted. So I'll make sure I drop those resources into the comments after the webinar. But yeah, you will need to make sure that you have an email address and a domain that stays healthy and clean. One of the ways your domain can stay healthy and clean is using different domains for different promotions. So if you do a big launch, it might bring the score down for that domain because a lot of traffic is going to it from a lot of different places on a launch. These are all nuanced things when it comes to sending email that I'm really going to go into in depth when we start talking about more email deliverability training. So yes, best to set up a new delivery email address, set it up as a real email address, use it, send some emails to people, go back and forth, have it be an active address, and then start getting adding it into your GrooveMail. Email addresses, not only should they not be role-based, they should not be free. So one of the mistakes that we made when we rolled out is we forgot to add the block that stopped people from using free email addresses into a sender. So it was sent up and you could send an email from, Joe@Kartra.com. I did not mean to say that. I meant to say Hotmail. You could send an email from joe@hotmail.com. And Hotmail is a terrible email address to send email from. So is Gmail. So is Yahoo. So is anything that you can get for free. Make it a paid email. I highly recommend the easiest way to do it is to take any of the domains that you have websites on in Groove and get a Google Apps account for that, a Google Business account for that. I know that we have tutorials and training on how to do that. You can search for them on our YouTube channel that lets you know how to set it up. But then you can have, like we have groovedigital.com as a Groove Pages site. And we also have all of our email at groovedigital.com through Google's Apps for Business. So I highly recommend that that is what you do to set up a new email. All right, next question. Oh, I didn't even show you Robert's question. Sorry about that. That was Robert's question. Next question is Miguel. Miguel says, when will GrooveMail be 100% available to use by all customers? Gosh, I wish I knew the answer to that question. I cannot give you the answer to that question. I can't for so many reasons. I can't because we have to go through the IP warm-up process. I can't because onboarding new people adds an element of chaos into the factory. We need to control that element of chaos. So I can't give you this answer. I apologize. I can set goals. And like our May 1st was a goal that we've blown because we didn't start our warming process by May 1st like I had hoped that we would. The best that I can do is give you a goal. And our goal is that for 40 days from now, all paid users will be onboarded. That's our goal. I don't know if we will make it. We will try, but that's the best I can promise you. I'm so sorry. I know that good answers that more specific answers will help you. They'll help you plan. They'll help you make decisions. You'll be able to know whether to get another month of Aweber or stick with Kartra for another month or two, or whatever it is that you're doing and decisions that you're making. And I really wish that I could give you more definitive answers. I recognize that you're trying to make decisions in a vacuum, but so are we. And I would rather not answer you than to come up with another answer that will just disappoint you. So sorry, I can't tell you the answer to this because I don't know. And I really do hope you understand. All right. Oh, I forgot. I just wanted to share. I got such a chuckle out of this as we were putting together our presentation. Simone on our team helps create our slide presentations for us, and we were working with Google Slides together this morning. And she dropped in the background for this one. And then I start hearing her chuckle. Like, what's so funny? And she was laughing. She could barely come out. And she said, well, look what happens the first place that I placed this screenshot, Miguel's screenshot. She said, look at how different this slide is when I place it here. And we just laughed. This is just, I wanted to add this to show you the importance of slide placement, because this communication seems a whole lot different than this communication. So I hope you're sharing that chuckle as well. All right, next question from Dex. Will there be a native integration with a third-party SMTP like Sendgrid? I really like their dedicated IP and email validation features for maximum deliverability. So that answer, Dex, is yes and. Yes, we will integrate with an SMTP provider like Sendgrid, and we will also be at some point providing our own dedicated IP SMTP options through GrooveMail for users who want the premium service and want to be able to get their own IP. And then what we do is we take a brand new IP, or maybe we'll even sell pre-warmed ones, because it's once we get the process going, it's easy for us to warm up and keep good, solid IPs. will be giving IP or selling IP addresses. Dedicated IPs are expensive. They definitely would be considered a premium add-on to your account, and they are something that we are hoping to roll out a few months down the line, not right now. All right, Sarah asks, with the new GrooveMail, can we create re-engagement campaigns and list hygiene? We talked a little bit about this earlier. And when I went over with automations, we talked about the list hygiene and cleaning people that are blocked out. Let me see if we have the option to, I just want to see if okay. So one of the things that has not been added yet, but probably will once GrooveMail rolls out, is there'll be a trigger that's not there that says if a lead has not opened an email. If the lead has not opened an email in X amount of days, then, and you can trigger an automation sequence. So that's how you would do a re-engagement campaign. If a lead has not opened an email within X amount of days, then you have a re-engagement campaign that you would move them over to. So I hope that will come out when they push the new version of GrooveMail out that I just don't have access to right now. If not, it will be coming. Oops. Just change my screen size again. There we go. Okay. Sarah also asked. Sarah asked a couple of things. I just chose two of her questions. She also asked, is there going to be an option to segment the list based on the links they click in an email? For an example, click here to join the challenge without opting in, just by clicking. Absolutely. They are already on your email list. You don't have to have someone opt in again. You'll be able to set an automation that says when a lead clicks a link, the particular link, or when the lead visits a page, then, so you could create, for instance, on a page, when a lead visits a page, apply a tag. And then that tag, you can do anything. So that means you can do anything to an existing subscriber when they visit a page, especially if it's from your email address. I mean, from an email. So absolutely, they can just click a link. You can send them options where two different links are a choice, and you can trigger sequences based on which of those two links that they click. So you ask them, which of these options are you more interested in, and give them two different links. That link can trigger anything inside the system. This is the beauty of all of these things working together under the same roof and powered by automations, is that there's nothing that you can't do when someone opens your email based on the activity that they take within the email. Super, super simple. It's a piece of cake. And who else wants cake right now after looking at that beautiful piece? Tony asks, will you provide us with the DNS records to help us improve deliverability? SPF, DKIM, DKNY, IDK is the answer to that. I don't know, but I went to our email team this morning and copied Tony's question exactly, and this is the response that I got back. We will provide SPF records to include. We will not yet provide DKIM, as that's a part that we still need to build, and it's significantly more complex. The way we send, like most ESPs, is on behalf of, so it will be, Groove is sending on behalf of Tony. And there's no need for custom DKIM yet. We'll do it, but it's a few months away. So that's the answer from the GrooveMail development team on that question. And I think this is the last one. Maybe there's one more, but I think this is the last one. Can we use GrooveMail as a standalone email automation tool and cancel all other email service subscriptions? Rezwan, you will be able to do that as soon as you have access. That is the goal. There's no need for people to maintain more than one email service subscriptions unless you want to keep a spammy one around. And that's some of that like gray black hat stuff that we'll talk about later. I'm sorry, I just got distracted because it occurred to me that I shouldn't be saying black hat. that we should stop saying things like black hat, white hat. So I want to apologize for that. There are some email strategies that you might want to use when you that might give you another email service subscription. And generally, you might want to try starting another re-engagement campaign through a different email service. If they become blind to emails through one service and stop opening them, often switching to another service to mail them will shake them up a little bit. It'll look a little different or appear a little different in their inbox. And that often will help people with re-engagement. So the only reason why you might want to keep a second email service, you won't have to, but if you're churning through a significant number of emails and want to try re-engagement from another service, that is what you would do. The next question, can we import contacts through webhooks and trigger certain automation and list options? So importing contacts through webhooks will be open eventually. We are keeping, remember, we need to keep the brakes on things. And one of the things we're keeping the brakes on is list imports. In fact, when we roll out GrooveMail, list imports will not be available right away. We will be rolling that out and turning that on a little bit later after we know we've gone through the IP warm-up process and we have kind of an understanding and sense of that it's safe to do that. We will then start adding in imports. Every single list import, and I'll probably do another whole live stream on list imports. Every single list import will be reviewed by a human. So it's a slower process. They take a look at, that goes through an automated process that looks for spam hooks and bad email addresses. So we take a sample and look at that. But a real human will look and ask you, you'll have to provide questions like where you got the list from. They'll want, some proof options. We are very, very conservative when it comes to list imports, and this is a benefit to you. It might not feel like a benefit when you try to import a list of 300,000 names and we only let you import 200,000 of them, but I promise you that it is a benefit to you. So list imports will happen. I'll give you more information later on a later date when I can provide you with some real answers to list imports. Webhooks is sort of the same thing. One of the mistakes that we made when we rolled out in the first place was that we didn't put a braking mechanism on people using automated systems to subscribe people to your list. So they created software that hit an opt-in page and basically tried to get around the list import by trigger, and tried to import tens of thousands of emails in a short period of time. Those are the kinds of things that we have now put the brakes on. So that includes things like webhooks. While we need to have those brakes on, we are not going to be letting you use webhooks and automated things to get people on a list. That will come eventually. And this is the last question. This is the one that made it in right before we went live today. Will there be email subject and body split testing? Subject right away, body will come eventually. And monitoring on deliverability, absolutely. We monitor our deliverability like a hawk, which is what resulted in us rolling back GrooveMail in the first place, as we saw deliverability start to decline. We will absolutely be monitoring it. I think that I feel confident that we won't have any of the same issues that happened the first time we rolled out GrooveMail. I know that it will go smoothly and easily. We are very, very prepared for this. And because it has taken us so long to make it perfect, it will be. And that's the answer to that, is that when it comes to deliverability, we have absolute faith that deliverability will be high and stay high throughout this process, because we know that the Groovesters will help us with it. All right. That was the last question. It was fun. Let's do it again. I am out of things to say when it comes to questions. I see that there are a bunch in here, so I am going to just scroll through quickly. If I didn't answer your question and you want to repost it again, you can, so that I can definitely see it. I see Ed asks about he has some lists that are getting old after he exported them. How will they handle that? It'll go through the same list import process. If you no longer have your email service, the old email service, and can't mail through them, then yeah, it'll just go through the same list, and then you'll want to warm them up. I highly recommend to anyone who is moving your email from one service to another, get people to opt in first. I highly recommend you create a reason for them to opt into a new list. That will get all of your active people in first, and then you take them off of your old list. You can continue to mail your old list to get them to opt in to your new list on Groove. That is the strongest, easiest, best, fastest, most perfect way to import a list, is to actually get them to resubscribe again. That is the most perfect of options. In fact, if we had more time for this onboarding, I would be doing the same thing, but I would first send people, like the 50 people that are going to get an email on the first day, I'd first send them an email that says, you know, opt into this list and get them to take action. So that's the absolute best way. Very often you can opt them in from Groove, and then once they've opted in from Groove, take them out of your old service. And then if you do that enough, you'll have all of your active people on Groove and all of your non-active people on the old service, and you can continue to mail them and see if they're truly just dead without impacting any of your Groove IP deliverability. So that's the absolute, in a perfect world, everybody would be moving their list that way versus doing a list import. So I highly recommend, if you still have your old email service, to set up something like that first. Let's see. Anshul asks, will we integrate with Amazon SES? I do not know the answer to that. I'll find it out, though. I see a couple of people mentioning Zoho Mail. Works great for domain email. I'm not familiar with it, so I don't have anything to comment on about that. Amanda, if your email is blacklisted, how can you fix that? I don't know. I will do some research. I honestly don't know, so I'll tell you that too. Paulo says, will there be a step-by-step video training on how to use the new GrooveMail platform? Absolutely, there will be. If yes, when? When is always the hardest question. We'll get to it, is the answer. I can't say more. We will definitely make sure that there's great GrooveMail training, because it's important for all of us to have great training. Let's see. Oh, Leonard says, offer a moving gift. Absolutely, offer a gift. Tell them that you're switching. And it's a good time to promote Groove too. Tell them you're switching from one program to another. GrooveMail was just released. This is the way that you get on my new list. Here is a bonus. By the way, GrooveMail is awesome. Here's my affiliate link. All right, it looks like I've answered most of the questions, and if I haven't, I will definitely go back into these posts later, see if I missed anything. If I missed your question, it is not because I am avoiding it. It's not because I don't want to give you the answer. It's because I did not see it. It is very simply that. Thank you, everyone, so much for all of your time and attention today. This has been about an hour and a half. I'm glad we got through it in this amount of time. I hope that you are as excited as I am about the rollout of GrooveMail. If a question occurs to you a little bit later, go ahead and drop it in here. I'm going to monitor the group and make sure that all of your questions get answered as I know them and as I have an answer for you. With that, you all know I love you all. It has been my great pleasure and privilege to be here on behalf of Groove. All opinions expressed are mine and mine alone. All of the awesomeness comes from the amazing team of Groove that is here to support you in each and every way. Everything that so much for all of your support.
Sorry, you froze for like a split second and I just popped up just in case. But you came back, so that's okay. All is well, all is well. I don't know if it was just me or if everybody saw the same thing, but
maybe I saw someone else say something about freezing, but I just kept plowing through because it was only one other person. So yeah, okay. Maybe just a blip in the matrix.
Okay, regardless. So yes, I think that is it. Thank you very much, Donna. I think we should all give Donna a huge virtual round of applause. Give Donna huge thanks. She put in a lot of work along with Simone, as you can see, putting together the slides for all of us. And of course, Leanne is going to be doing a lot of work. I'm seeing her messages throughout the entire thing. Just a lot of hard work behind the scenes, more than you will ever know. And now is a great time to show our appreciation because once again, everything is done for all of us. So this is something that's going to be very, very exciting in times ahead. So let's give Donna a big round of virtual applause. Say thank you. Hugely appreciate it. And then we're going to continue to answer those questions once we find out the answers to them for you.
All right. Thanks, Sai. Much love to you. Bye, everyone. See you on the next stream.
See you.